First essay in this class is a film review. In this semester, we're going to watch and review George Romero's 1968 classic, Night of the Living Dead. Your review needs to have some kind of judgment of the film. Now, you don't need a thesis statement, really, but it does need to be clear as I'm reading your review what you thought about the film. Now, you aren't summarizing the film, and I'm going to repeat that because every semester there's going to be a group of students that spend way too much time summarizing plot points in the film. You're not summarizing the film. I've watched Night of the Living Dead, and I've read about Night of the Living Dead, and I've taught Night of the Living Dead, and written about Night of the Living Dead several times. So I don't really need a summary of the film. And the audience that you're writing for in the film review, a group of folks that know the genre of the film, but may not have seen the film, won't necessarily need a lot of plot elements either. If you've seen a zombie film, you know most of the plot elements that are going to be involved in a zombie film. So you're not summarizing, but you are judging the film. And there's a couple things to keep in mind when you are reviewing a film and making a judgment on it. You need to make sure that your criteria that you're using are fair and relevant to the film that you're analyzing. So the criteria should be fair. Night of the Living Dead was a DIY film and was filmed on a shoestring budget right around $100,000, which is not much money to make a film even back in 1968. It was made by a group of young filmmakers who had zero experience making feature-length films. Their only experience up to that point was shooting commercials in the Pittsburgh area. The film was shot outside Pittsburgh, and people that had invested in the film and donated money to make the film happen, they ended up playing zombies, doing hair and makeup, operating cameras and equipment for the film. So it was a very DIY project. It would be very unfair to judge that film against films like 28 Days Later or The Walking Dead or other zombie media that's much more recent, that has access to more technology for a more finished product. So you choose criteria that are a good fit and that are fair to the film that you're reviewing. Once you have the criteria that you're going to use to review the film, you want to use evidence and detail and support from the film to back up what you think about the Night of the Living Dead. If you're writing about why you thought the film was good or bad based on the pacing of the film, the suspense that it builds, you'll need to describe key scenes where you think the film is either paced too slowly or describe scenes in which you think the film changes really quickly in a way that you like. Those descriptions are key. It's the evidence that you use to back up the claim that you liked the film or you didn't like the film or it performed poorly or badly based on the criteria that you've selected. If you just say, for example, that the film's pace was great because the action ramps up quickly towards the end, you're telling me something. You need to show me with examples from the film to back up what it is you're saying. So an example might be the film's pacing is really great and it really improved when Ben meets the Coopers and their confrontation builds suspense, particularly in the scene where Ben slaps Mr. Cooper. A little bit more detail there, a little bit more evidence going on there. So to sum up, choose the criteria you use to judge the film carefully. Make sure that they're fair and relevant to the film that you're analyzing and to the genre that you're analyzing. Night of the Living Dead, again, was a DIY film, and it wasn't exactly going for Oscar awards. One criteria that I think about a lot, and I'll just kind of share with you all how I've approached similar reviews. One criteria I think about when I watch this film is how the film portrays race. In the era in which it was produced, Night of the Living Dead was way ahead of its time. The protagonist of the film is a black man, and the film does not spend a lot of time commenting on that. It doesn't draw a lot of attention to that fact, and it's kind of a refreshing thing for me. So for me, if I was reviewing the film based on how it represents race, I might say that how it represents Ben is a really positive, because he's a strong character, he's assertive, and I might use those as ways to build individual paragraphs. Now, if I think about gender, things are a little bit different, particularly if you consider a character like Barbara, and you're going to meet her at the beginning of the film. She faints, She does this damsel in distress thing. She kind of gazes blankly. She doesn't really do much. She's not a very active character. She's what I think you'd call a weak character. She's definitely no Michonne from The Walking Dead. So for me, I didn't like Barbara all that much as a character. And if I was reviewing the film based on its female characters, I might say, Barbara's a place where some definite improvements could take place. The prompt for the film review mentions other criteria that you'll want to keep in mind and other items you'll want to keep in mind as you write your review. In your review, you'll want to show me that you can revise, not just edit or proofread your work. You'll need to integrate 2 quotes from reviews others have written about Night of the Living Dead, and you'll need to show me that you can write well-developed paragraphs. To a lesser extent, I'll also be looking for correct MLA page formatting, accurate use of film terminology, and an engaging introduction that sets up the film's production, cast, plot, and justifies the criteria that you're going to use to judge the film. Those are less important criteria. Pro tip, if you're concerned about grades, I'm a stickler for the 4 main essential criteria. You really need to show me that you know how to do that stuff in order to earn a good grade on this assignment. That's the downside. The upside is I stick to only those 4 things. I don't surprise you with grammatical things or anything like that. Unless your writing is really difficult to decipher, I stick to those 4 criteria. I'll sometimes add little side quests or mini assignments within these videos just to make sure that you're checking in and watching most of the video, but also to learn a little bit about you and maybe to add a little bit of fun to the class. What I'd like you to do today for your first Easter egg is to send me an email letting me know what your zombie plan is. You don't have to go into a bunch of detail. If your decision is to just head out to Walmart and to try to write it out in there and barricade the doors, cool. Let me know what your zombie plan is. Send me an email by the end of Wednesday, August the 25th. Film review is one of my favorite assignments because I'm always surprised what students have to say about a film that's over 50 years old. I always learn something new about the film from my students. The film's also a really important one too. It influenced a whole genre of films. Zombie films really can find their origin, at least recent zombie films can find their origin in this 1968 film that we're going to watch. It's also a really influential film because it influenced a whole punk and DIY culture. Bands like the Misfits and the Ramones, it can cite Night of the Living Dead as an influence for their work. So that's it for now. Make sure you email me if you have any questions about the assignment. If you want to talk about the criteria that you like to use to review the film, reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you about Night of the Living Dead and about your review. Next week or so, I'll be addressing all of the criteria in the prompt, and we'll spend a little bit of time working on details, and we'll talk about revision, and you'll be ready to complete the assignment. So again, reach out and make sure that you ask questions when you have them. Talk to you soon.